Welcome to episode 217 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. And this week, we've got Mark Slaughter.
I don't know, I hate to get dated and shit, but if you'd have told me when I was 14 that when I was 42, I would be talking about barbershop quartets with Mark Slaughter, to quote Lars Ulrich, I'd be like, what kind of drugs are you on, and can you share some of them with me?
Right.
Just saying.
That's a good point. I feel the same way, because, this was one of those bands, from that era that came out right at the right time for us, because
I think so.
We were, 13, 14 when they debuted, really?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of one of the bands we latched onto, like Warrant.
Yeah, and here's something which I really appreciated. I don't know why, it's weird, but, this band came along. They had that sound, but they didn't, they had the look. They had the late 80s, early 90s look, but they weren't all made up like women, like prostitutes in a brothel, like, Poison and Pretty Boy Floyd were or whatever.
Right.
And for some reason that resonated with me.
Because they came out just slightly after that. Because,
yeah,
Poison had already changed their look by that point.
Exactly. And so many
Warrant
people,
and all those bands had
say
already
80s bands, but guess what? Slaughter's record, their first record, didn't come out till 1990.
That's right.
So go ahead, see that dick over there? You need to go eat it. And deal with that.
Yeah, that blanket term, 80s bands, you throw in Slaughter or Firehouse, whose Steelheart albums that debuted in 1990.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, even Jackal gets thrown in there, and they didn't even debut till 92.
No shit. And so it's just like, what do you do? But no, I think...
I call it rock and roll.
That's right. That's right. You do call it rock and roll. There's no 80s about it. There's no 90s about it. There's rock and roll. You're exactly goddamn right. And there's no, to this day, I don't listen to Slaughter or Firehouse or Jackal and think, man, just some of the best 80s music ever. I think this is some of the best rock and roll ever. This is some of the best hard rock ever. And, if you have a problem with that, email us, because I'll email you back all day long and remind you how you're wrong. So
thethunderunderground@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Or message on Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, whatever way you want to get schooled, we'll school you in it. So just do it, whatever.
Right. Well, we're going to talk some more about Slaughter, but first, we got to let you know we're sponsored by DEB Concerts and MedFarm. MedFarm is a new dispensary in the Broken Arrow area, which is a suburb here of Tulsa. They have a huge selection that if you go in and you tell them that you heard about them here from us, they'll give you 10% off your first order, which is pretty amazing. They also follow them on Facebook because they run a lot of specials where I've seen them say if you're in the building while Robin Sparkles is playing, and I've seen them say that about a few other songs, you'll get 20% off.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it's always random stuff like Robin Sparkles and shit that no one... who I love, but most people are like, who the fuck is Robin Sparkles?
You know what? Dude, I agree. There's few things in this world that can be classified as a shot of life, but Robin Sparkles is one of them.
That's right.
I will give you that one. Yes, sir.
But yeah, if you follow them on Facebook, that's Med, PHARM. You can also follow them on Instagram at MedFarmOK. They have a doctor on site every Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. if you need to get a card. And the best part of everything is that 30% of their profits go to help build no-kill animal shelters, which is a huge thing. That's another thing they also post a lot about. They're dog-friendly, people bringing in their dogs while they're shopping and everything.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I mean...
I just think Merc could have went in that place.
I know. Rest his soul. And that's the thing is, they're working towards no-kill animal shelters. I love it.
Yeah.
And you know me, I know you. We're all about the animals, all about the pets. So, this is the place to frequent.
That's right. So look them up and follow them and tell them that we sent you.
Of course.
Also, DEB Concerts. They have been bringing in great shows to the IDO Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma for quite a while. Bands like Saxon, Steelheart, Warrant, Stryper, Sebastian Bach, Tom Kiefer. A huge long list, and they've announced that there will be more show announcements soon. They actually just did the other day that there should be an announcement coming soon.
Yeah, there's more rock stuff coming.
Yeah. But in the meantime, they also have a show coming to the BOK Center. Snoop Dogg, Nelly, and Chromeo, which will be April 12th at the BOK Center. And we've mentioned every week, this is a great thing because this just helps expand their brand and helps expand what they're doing.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with diversity. There's nothing wrong with growing and getting bigger.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you want to go check out this show at the BOK Center, just hit up Ticketmaster.com. It's that simple.
That's
or
right.
I'm sure you can go to the BOK box office to see Snoop Dogg and Nelly. And there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm not a rap fan, but the thing is that doesn't matter.
Right.
You can be a Snoop Dogg fan. I mean, that's just part of America.
Right.
And when I'm on my social media and I'm flipping through Instagram or Facebook and you see Snoop Dogg's message that starts out with, "What up, Tulsa?" I just immediately get proud.
Right.
So, I hope everyone goes to the show. Everyone checks it out. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing.
That's right. And DEB Concerts booked all the acts for the Rocklahoma stage, the D&B processing stage this year at Rocklahoma.
Yeah.
This is their third year sponsoring the stage. Bands like Slaughter, Mark Slaughter, who we're interviewing this week.
That's right.
We'll be out there on the pre-party Thursday night, along with Strutter, who is a KISS tribute band. Poster Child will also be that night. Some of the other headliners are Ace fucking Frehley. That's pretty amazing.
What the fuck?
Yeah. We've also got Lita Ford, and we've got Bisto Blanco.
Holy shit.
Those are all great headliners out there for that stage. There will also be bands like the Normandies, Zen Hipster, Solidify, Grind, Dead Metal Society, Down for Five, Rocket Science, Doxy.
First Strike.
Yeah, First Strike.
Driver.
And Driver.
Yeah.
Two bands that Mr. Mike DiPetrillo played the drums for.
We saw Mr. Mike DiPetrillo earlier today.
That's right. Yeah, out there at the Brady.
And we'll get to that later on. Maybe in another episode, but whatever.
Right. We've also got Charlie Bonnet and the Folk and Gas Holes. We've got, I never did look that up if he's related to Graham Bonnet. But
I looked him up. He's great shit. The greatest fucking name in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But there's a ton more acts out there. And one of the acts that will be out there is the Midnight Devils.
Yes.
And we're just going to play some Midnight Devils right now.
Goddamn right we are.
All right. Here is Memphis Mile.
Yeah! Down that Memphis Mile. Woo! Oh yeah!
Memphis Mile from the Midnight Devils and their album Something Bigger.
I'm telling you, if that doesn't want to make you eat some unballed 80s pussy, I don't know what does.
What the hell? That's the most random.
But come on, right?
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah. How can you
That's not a bad thing.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that's just hilarious because that's out of nowhere. But
That's what I do. It's what I do.
I'm sure that Sam and Chris and Jimmy will love that comment anyway. So
I
that's all
hope
that matters.
so.
Yeah.
And we know we'll see them. We see them every year.
Yeah. Yeah, they're one of the highlight. Like, listen, if you have not seen these guys or you're just not familiar with it, you have to see these guys live.
Yeah, yeah.
They're really one of the, like the last 2 years, 3 years, because they've played last year with Midnight Devils, a couple years before that, 2 years in a row with 3D in Your Face.
Yeah.
And they put on one of the best live shows. It's just full of energy. And I mean, you hear in that song, Chris Heinlein is just a fucking beast on the fucking guitar.
And
all three of these guys are amazing.
And I hate to get trunkish for a minute. I really do. Hear it.
I've known these guys for a while.
Head goes down. But we see them every year at Rocklahoma. We got to do a podcast with them one year. They're great guys, huh?
We've done it. Well, the second time we did it over Skype, remember?
That's right. Well, yes, I know, but I was just saying at Rocklahoma itself. Yeah. And there's one year we saw them, and then I think it was the Skype one. They're like, dude, were you okay? You weren't all the way there, were you? And I'm like, no, I wasn't. Thank you for recognizing that and giving me a break. Because it was Rocklahoma. So these guys know what is up. We know what's up. And it's great that we can keep this rapport going with those guys.
That's right. Yeah, check out their album, Something Bigger. They will be out there, like we said, at Rocklahoma. Rocklahoma is May 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Yes, and you know what? Another band that will be there on that stage is In Hipster, who ties into what we need to talk about.
Yeah, we
right
definitely
now.
need to talk about that.
That's exactly right.
This weekend, this Sunday afternoon, at the Venue Shrine in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is the benefit for The Bachelor.
Yes.
Josh Baker is the Bachelor in question here. That is because he has the Bachelor's Table food truck. He is also the drummer for Zen Hipster, which this man right here next to me is also in the band as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, as a lot of you may know, probably about a few weeks ago, a month ago, Josh was in an unfortunate accident on the job and, really needs our help. And we're kind of banding together to raise some money and raise some awareness for what Josh is going through. And April 7th at the Shrine, we've got a lot of bands lined up, raffles, silent auction, so much stuff going on. And it's all to help Josh out, all to help his medical expenses, And it's going to be a great day. It's about 2:00 to about 9:00. No one has to stay late. There's no reason to not come out and show your support and, help Josh out.
Yeah. Like you said, there's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be raffles. Their raffle is going to include things like 2 tickets to Rocklahoma.
Exactly.
That are good for all 4 days.
Totally.
Thanks to Doug at DEB Concerts.
Exactly. Yeah.
There will also be a raffle. Like, the list for things on the raffle is pretty long now. But we've got 2 tickets to Jim Brewer.
You've got so much stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you just, you can look at the event page. You get out there, there'll be a list of stuff. But there's $100 gift certificates to a bunch of places.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Phillies, Sunset Tattoo. There's been a donation from Marshall Brewing for the silent auction that's going to include a private tour and private guided tasting of all their beers for 6 people. Like I said, Jim Brewer tickets. There's the Nixons sent over an autographed
Yeah.
vinyl and CD.
They sent so much stuff.
And then there's going to be other, Down for Five has donated an autographed guitar. Let's Slip the Dogs has donated an autographed bass. There's a huge long list. Like I said, go to the event page. You can see all the stuff. And all the profits that we make off the auction and the raffle, everything, like Jason said, is going straight to Josh. Everything from the door goes straight to Josh, which is only $5. So that'll get you in there to see 8 great bands, and you can also buy food from Vidder's Catering, which will be out there serving it out of the Bachelor's Table truck.
Definitely.
Yeah, Josh Vitt and Maggie will be serving food, and I promise you, I'm not just saying this, it will be amazing.
Dude, this shit is great.
Yeah.
It's so good. And why don't you tell everybody what bands are playing?
Okay, this thing will be kicked off by Steve Liddell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with Steve Liddell, I don't know where the fuck you've been. This guy's been around for quite a while in Tulsa. He's a fantastic artist, and he's going to be performing by himself.
Longtime friend. Glad that he's playing with us. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we will also, after him, have the debut performance from Dead Union, which features Andy from Fist of Rage. It also features Chris from Porch Talk. So this is really cool because you're getting a debut performance from someone.
Yeah.
Then we've also got sets from Tony Romanello and the Black Jackets, another longtime friend of Zen Hipster and Josh's.
Oh, yeah. We gigged with him so many times back in the day.
Right.
Can't wait.
Then we've got, like we mentioned earlier on the autograph bass, Let's Slip the Dogs, who've been on this podcast before. Phenomenal trio. 3 phenomenal musicians. You don't want to miss that. We've also got Weston Horn and the Hush, who, as we've talked about many times over the last few months, these guys are a sight to behold. You know, they're doing something that's original, in my opinion.
That's
and
right.
It's
That's
just,
right.
you know, there's like 8 of them. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just a great time, a good vibe.
And their drummer, Matt Donaldson,
Right?
which, you know, he produced all of our shit back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was just such a great coach in everything that had to do with music and the scene in Tulsa. And to have him involved is a complete honor.
That's right. And he's a good friend of Josh's.
Yes,
and he
yeah,
owns
exactly. Yeah.
Drum World.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, it just makes sense.
That's right. Murderous Mary, who we've talked about countless times since they debuted.
Yes.
Another phenomenal drummer that I know Josh is a big fan of, and Michael Davis.
Michael Davis, yeah.
And then we've got Modern Myth.
Modern Myth.
Another band that's been around here for 2 or 3 years, but, you know, dating way back. I know Josh is good friends with the drummer of that band, Jake. And
When they were called the Dawn Armada.
Yeah.
You guys might remember.
That's right.
It's Modern Myth now, and it's different, but
Different
it's still,
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the capper here is Zen Hipster.
Yeah.
What can you
I
say?
mean, we're going to do a set, and, you know, we're honored, and it's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
I would love to see everybody there. Just everybody being generous. Josh needs our help, and let's just lift him up.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not something you can come out and spend money on an auction or a raffle, it's only $5 to get in the door, and that right there is going to Josh too. So
Exactly.
everything helps.
Yeah.
And, you know, will be the 3rd benefit that's happened for him in the past couple weeks. And we were out at the one that Fuel 66 put on, that a lot of the people in the food truck community kind of put together. And that was a great event.
Yeah.
And then there was one at the Looney Bin that focused on comedy. So even though there's been 3 events, they've all kind of focused on different things. Ours, of course, is focusing on music. So
Definitely.
So yeah, April 7th, this Sunday. Doors open, doors at 2, shows at 3, and it'll be over by about 9 o'clock.
That's right. That's right. You'll be home in time to get some great sleep for Monday morning.
Yeah. All right. So Slaughter, you know, we kind of talked about them up front, but you know, this is one of those bands that definitely had a sound of that era, but also they had some heavier stuff. And
Yes.
you know, when you think of songs like Burning Bridges or Eye to Eye. Later, the second album, Reach for the Sky, the opening track.
Oh,
to me,
man.
when you hear that song, that almost sounds like Dio era Sabbath to me.
That's what I really, when I listen to, it's funny you say that. When I listen to a lot of the Slaughter deep cuts, I listen to some Mark Slaughter solo stuff, I get a real Dio vibe. I mean, it's not like a thrash metal or real heavy, but it's just that classic metal vibe.
Yeah. And you hear that on, like you said, his solo stuff. He's had 2 solo albums. The newest one, Halfway There, that came out in 2017, has a few songs on there that get pretty heavy.
Yeah, he gets to some heavy stuff. I mean, I don't want people to just rest on this. You need to check this out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just like, kind of like we're talking about what we loved about this band. One of my first memories was, Stick It To You came out, and then not long after that, Stick It Live. And I had both those, and remember Singles, of course? We all had those.
Yeah.
Like, one of my memories of buying a single was I bought the Spend My Life single, and the flip side was She Wants More.
Oh my God.
And I think I got that right before I got the album. And that's still one of my favorite. I don't even know if you can call Spend My Life a power ballad, because it's kind of fast in a way, but it still has that
No, dude,
vibe.
Spend My Life it's just one of my favorite. You can't go wrong with that song.
Yeah. It's just like a perfect song from that time period. And like you said earlier, it stands up today,
Oh yeah. It's, as Jerry Miller would put it, a groove-laden rocker.
I'm glad you got Jerry Miller inserted into this somehow.
Well, goddamn.
Here's Mark Slaughter.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. Even though that we're actually shaking it up a little bit, and there's players that are some guys are playing with Vince and some guys are playing with me, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of different things. But I'm looking forward to it. Look, Vince and I have known each other a long time, and it'll be nice to jam with him.
When you do the shows that are an evening with Mark Slaughter, how does that differ from a Slaughter show outside of the obvious, like the band members?
Sometimes it just depends. If it's intimate, it's usually me with an acoustic guitar. That gets to be pretty involved, meaning that I usually have a lot of different things that I do in that side, meaning I use a looping station and backgrounds, and I use a Godin guitar, which has a multi-act, not to get technical on it, but, I can use like an orchestra and run strings behind it. So it's a pretty different type of acoustic performance. On the intimate side, and is the solo band, that's different people, but it's always quality players. I always make sure I have great guys with me.
Your record, Halfway There, I mean, I was so impressed by that record. I mean, Reckless is epic, and the title track is like an anthem. You really tapped into some heavier stuff going on there. Just talk about the inspiration for that record.
Well, I mean, I think that what most people don't realize is, first and foremost, years ago I was a guitar teacher, and I think that as I get older, I have more time. My kids are grown, so I'm able to sit around and kind of, get back into the saddle of playing as much as I used to when I was younger. And I'm having a blast with it. I'm just enjoying making music and recording and knocking it all out. I was into a lot of heavy music, but I've always had a sense of melody to what I do. Even if it's heavy, I still try to have a sense of melody. And instead of just like, just slamming heavy riff. So I think that's probably the difference of how I approach it as an artist, and even on the heavier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, you got to have a hook.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to make it to where there's something that people can walk away, humming in their head, or that, that resonates. I mean, music really is I said it so many times, it's a soundtrack of our lives, or all the music that that we've all listened to, whether it be Maiden or Zeppelin or Sabbath or Bryan Adams or whoever it is. There's those songs resonate in feelings and things that happen in our lives. And I think that what I always try to do is write songs that I think can match up to what people are going through, or even in my own life. If I don't get it, people aren't going to get it. So I really try to write for all the above.
Well, besides, like, say, writing by yourself without members of Slaughter, like, how did this process differ of these last couple solo albums than back when you guys were putting out music?
Well, Dana and I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is that Dana and I produced those records and wrote those records. We're the only band from our genre that wrote, produced, and still perform those songs to this day. So we're kind of an oddity in that time frame. I mean, everybody has a studio nowadays, but we were hands-on all the way across the board. And in that, I think that's probably the difference. It was Dana and I writing it and assembling the songs and making sure it connected the way we wanted it to. We had great players. Blas and Tim were awesome. And, it's one of those things that, there's a magic when you do it in a band and that side of it when you're in the studio. And when you're doing it by yourself, then you start thinking, it's like an objective outside yourself. You put it down, and then, as a producer, engineer, and the performer on all my records, I always come back and go, okay, now how is that really? I have to step outside myself and really criticize myself to make sure that it's, to par of what I'd want, somebody else's record to be.
Was ever a confrontation with the labels about producing it yourselves, or them wanting to bring in someone else?
Well, they did on the first record for Slaughter. Yes, they did. They said, we'd like to, you to hook up with a producer and da 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 da. And we said, listen, if you don't want us to do it ourselves, then why don't you just drop us? Because there's plenty of other labels that would love to have our production. In fact, we had meetings with several big labels, including Warner, who said, if you guys get off the label, we'll be right there. And Chrysalis said, you know what, you guys are right. Just go ahead and do your thing. We love your demos and make sure that the songs are there. And they really gave us the freedom to do what we wanted to do and to, kind of what I'm doing right now, except by myself. And that's a key point, is really giving us the freedom to make the records and steer it the way we want it.
Last year we had Dave Ellefson on here, and he talked a lot about how they were wanting to make EMP feel like, approach it the way that labels used to be approached. Like, how has it been working with that label?
Well, I mean, Dave's a great guy. Tom has a lot of passion there, and there's a lot of passion. Unfortunately, the sad part of the music industry is it's changing. It's now turning to complete streaming, and it's changing toward the actual physical copies are leaning more towards vinyl than anything, and CD sales are plummeting. In fact, you can't even go into a Best Buy and hardly get a CD, and every CD-ROM that you get in a computer is no longer there. You buy a new car, there's no CD player. So really, it's going to be the cassette tape of the next generation here, and so there is no physical product that people will be buying except for the, those fans that really want the physical piece. So that's changed a lot. That changes a lot of the dynamics of how labels work, and it changes the dynamics of how people will see it.
Right. Well, we mentioned Rocklahoma out the gate. Like, you guys have played Rocklahoma before. You played, other festivals, M3, cruises, that kind of thing. Have you noticed an uptick in a resurgence in, maybe crowds at other shows outside of that because of these festivals?
I don't know if it's because of the festivals or the fact that, music trends up and down. And it's no different than, 1 minute it's really hot, the next minute it's not. And that's just that's the secular activity of all music. So, right now it's pretty hot. There's a lot of festivals. Every year we've been doing festivals, even in Europe. And you never know where your next show is going to be coming from, and where it's going to be. I mean, it's like joining the Army. Are you available in May 6th? Because there's a show. And then you go, yep. And then you're off and going. So, but it's, you know, is it any different from the festivals? I know Rocklahoma really wasn't doing some of our genre for a bit, and they were doing a little bit heavier stuff. So again, as I'm saying, it does change. Every year is a little bit different than the other one.
We've noticed, we've seen you guys a few times. You know, you always like to walk through the crowd while performing. Has anything crazy ever happened? Anyone held on a little bit too long or anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually had it to where I couldn't get back to the stage in time to do the next song, you know, and you know that turns into some pretty exciting jams, you know, to in between. But you know, it's fun, man. I think that, you know, Slaughter's always been, you know, a people's band. We never really, you know, we never saw ourselves as rock stars or any of that stuff. We're just the guys next door like to play music, you know. Yeah, and you know, if you look at it in the side of, you know, like how Sammy Hagar is in that side, I think of us as this, you know, the same type of animal. We just like to be there when the party's happening.
Forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I think that I read at the first Rocklahoma in 2007, you had put together a band because the other members of Slaughter were performing with Vince Neil, and I read that you put it together like on real short notice. Is that true?
Yeah.
Like, is that?
Yeah.
Is it hard doing that? Like finding 3 people that you would trust to put on a show that you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of specialized musicians that do this really good. I mean, you know, there's a lot of great players out there, and is it hard to? No, I don't think of it as hard to. I think it's just you do it in necessity of, you know, it's work, and you look at it of not damaging the brand of what we do is the key point that I think that we're even doing right now, as we really try to keep the integrity of what people knew and love. So it was a way of getting the songs out there, and you know, in different forms. I think it works in different sides. You know, I think people still want to see the real band. You know, it is what it is.
You know, back to your solo albums. You know, you're an accomplished player. Was there anything though that you took away from, you know, Tim and Jeff to help you with your own in the studio, to help you with your own material?
Well, I think that what you do take from playing with players for a lot of years is you hear their style in your head because you've been on stage and you've heard it so much. So you start hearing it the way somebody would approach it. And that's, you know, I'd be lying to say that, you know, whatever you hear doesn't influence you as a player. So, you know, Tim was, you know, he had a certain way that he played, and Jeff has a different way that he plays, but both are good, and both are very, how should I say it, very, very believable and great players. So, you know, of course it's going to influence me.
Stepping away from the guitar, talking about your voice, what have you done throughout the years to maintain that voice and not lose it?
Well, you know, I've never been much of a partier in that side. You know, I'll have a couple shots of tequila at the most around a show, but I've never been a drinker. I've never been a smoker, and I drink a lot of water, stay hydrated. That's a key point for any singer. The best thing also, you have to get 8 hours of sleep as a singer. So there's a lot of things that biologically you have to do to actually keep your, you know, your body, you know, in check. So it's a little bit different that, you know, for singers and as a guitar player, because they can party all night, and the only thing they have to do is wiggle their fingers the next day because they don't have to worry about, you know, that getting tired. You know, it just doesn't happen, you know. So I think that's the key point. Is I really am conscious of, you know, I got to crash. I got to go be quiet and not talk, and really focus on what I need to focus in on.
You know, when you were starting out, what came first? Was it guitar, or when did you know that, you know, you wanted to sing as well?
You know, it's been two different sides. I mean, I sang when I was a really young child. In 5th grade, I had 2 teachers who played acoustic guitar and played folk guitar, you know, and sang. So it was kind of like in the hippie movement of the 70s. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was kind of exposed to that folk aspect, or you know, even the finger picking style, well, kind of like what Jimmy Page did. And later on, I thought, wow, that guy's doing what I do here. And I got into rock guitar, and I got electric guitar, and then I played in a jazz band in school, and you know, all these different influences just kept creeping in. Then when I got into the next phase in school, I got into the choirs and sang a lot. So, you know, there wasn't any musical class that I didn't take, you know, that I couldn't take, except for girls' glee. I couldn't do that, but every other thing I actually did in school, I was voted most musical on that side because I was in it, you know, submerged.
Yeah. But I think that diversity helps and kind of spreads you out really too.
It does. And you know, when I was a young kid too, I did some barbershop harmonies. I don't know if you know what that is, but like barbershop quartets. There was a big men's choir called the Gamboliers, and these old guys would meet up on a Wednesday night at 7:00, and we just sing. And you know, I was a first tenor, so you know, I'm a natural first tenor, obviously with my high voice. So they loved me, and they put me all over it. And I got a chance to perform with these guys in some of the big halls around Vegas, and that sense of harmony is really, you know, all these different things that I was doing as a kid. I hear harmonies, I hear chord structures, and I hear things differently than a lot of just a straight up rock musician would, and understand the theory behind it as well as, you know, just naturally and driven towards that. So I think that's another part of this very different of what I do as a musician.
Yeah. Barbershop, that's no joke. You had to be really on point with that stuff.
Yeah. And the other side of it is there's clashes. You know, there's the natural clash, and there's, you know, dominant sevenths and suspended fourths and seconds and all that stuff. And it's like embracing these things that are not typical in rock music until you start to do that, and you start to hear a few things that go on in the background. It's kind of, usually a lot of times they'll pull it back and you feel it more than you really notice it. You know, like 10 cc's, you know, I'm Not in Love. You know, there's a lot of clashes in that, but it's beautiful in the way they did that. It was just amazing.
Well, being so accomplished as a vocalist and as a guitarist, whenever you were at that point as a singer, did you find yourself like not really slacking off, but kind of like stepping away from the guitar for a bit and then you came back later, or how did that work?
Well, when I got I was teaching guitar, and I got the call that, you know, that Vinny was, you know, looking for a singer, and ultimately I said, yeah. So I put my guitar in a stand. I said goodbye to, you know, I taught about 279 lessons a month was what I did.
Wow.
So that's what my guitar was. And I literally, you know, put the guitar in a stand, and I'm a lead singer opening up for, you know, legendary Alice Cooper and Iron Maiden. So, I mean, here's two acts. I love their music. I grew up in their music, and you know, I'm sharing the stage with them. It was freaking awesome, you know. But it was very different for me because, you know, first off, it was glammed out of my tree. I was singing a record that had already been recorded, and I was 22 years old at the time. And I mean, I know if you look at 21, 22 years old, I mean, it's pretty young. And, you know, if you look at the kids outside, I was a snot-nosed kid up there doing it. So it was pretty cool, you know. It was pretty cool.
What's next for you as far as, you know, new material and just shows?
Yeah, shows, new material. And I think that, you know, it's a singles world. I think it might be more of putting, you know, songs out one at a time instead of a full record. You know, I don't know. I think everybody in this industry is trying to define it and figure out how to do it. But, you know, one thing for sure, I still love making music. I still have a love for songs and creating those memories. So it's like, I really don't have the answer what I'm going to do. It's a music business, but it's also an art form, which an artist makes art. So however I can make the art and get it to the people the best way of what makes sense, that's what I'll be doing.
I gotta ask this just since we have you here. One of those singles, any chance of it being Slaughter?
One of the singles, you know, we actually have a song or two that we've written,
Nice.
but we've never put out.
Okay.
And I think it really is one of those things of getting everybody together to say, okay, let's track this song. Let's do this song. Let's record this song. And, you know, I think that's one of the things that, you know, as your life, and I'm sure it is the same thing for you guys, that your life becomes a little bit more hectic with things you got to do, and trying to get out of your zone is a little bit more difficult. And so I'm open for it. I'm ready to go. It's just really getting these guys, you know, from their everyday stuff to be able to connect and do it.
Definitely. Well, man, we look forward to seeing you at Rocklahoma, and we appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, I'm very thankful, and you know, there's going to be some new singles coming your way, so you know, keep your ears and eyes open. And in the meantime, I'll probably see you guys there. And thanks for your belief in rock and roll, not just what I do, but for what you guys do. I appreciate the passion, and you know, certainly it's what we all share. And you know, a lot of good times have been had by all this music for everybody. You know.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, guys, and hope you have a great day. We'll see you at Rocklahoma.
There you go, Mark Slaughter of Slaughter. A huge thank you to Jody Best at Best Bet Promotions, and of course to Mark Slaughter for taking the time out of his day to do that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that was a legit honor. I mean,
That's
it
right.
really was. Like I said before, I mean, if you'd have told me, you know, when I was, anyways, and that doesn't even matter, you know, when I was 14 or 15, because never ever stopped liking this band.
Right.
With so many of our friends and people we talked to, oh yeah, I remember that band. I loved them when I was in high school or something, or middle school. You know, fuck you. I mean, we never stopped because we always knew there was legit stuff coming. So
Yeah,
it
you never
was,
dug into those Slaughter albums after The Wildlife, like Fear No Evil, and what was the one after?
Revolution.
Revolution, yeah.
Revolution was so good.
Yeah, both those
If you
are
don't
great.
know that, then I don't know. Fuck you. I mean, it's just stupid that you don't know that, because that was a great record. So, and check out Halfway There. It was a solo out record that Mark put out in 2017. So good. It's got some heavy stuff on there. Do yourself a favor. And then you'll be like, oh, thanks, guys. You'll be emailing us like, holy shit, you guys are right.
Right. But once again, we will see them at Rocklahoma, May 23rd, the pre-show night. Slaughter will be headlining that night. They're on the
Yeah.
D&B processing stage inside the grounds there at Rocklahoma. So really looking forward to that. That's another thing, if you haven't seen Slaughter live, I mean, Dana Strum has always been awesome. Jeff Blando is a freaking beast on the guitar. And then people walk away from talking about when they see Slaughter, not only the fact that, you know, Mark Slaughter still sounds awesome, is this guy,
Yes.
who's this guy on the drums, you know?
Zoltan
And it's,
Chaney.
yeah, Zoltan Chaney is a freaking madman. He's just one of those guys that, like, you can't take your eyes off. It's like a show in itself.
He'll play with his feet. He'll do a backflip, whatever he said to do.
That's right. So, yes, check him out if you get the chance ever to see Vince Neil live or Slaughter live. You won't regret seeing Zoltan, and we're really looking forward to Rocklahoma this year because of that, and like we played earlier, the Midnight Devils and all the other great stuff we've talked about.
That's all right.
So if this is your first time checking us out, we've got 16 episodes previous to this that you can check out.
Yeah.
And if you like Slaughter, let's see, there you might be a fan
Oh,
of
man.
Kix. We had on 3 of the members of Kix. Actually, all 5 of them.
All 5 of them, really, if you want
chimed in
to
at
get
different points.
crazy.
That's right. Then we had on both Tracy Guns and Phil Lewis from LA Guns.
Talk about stand-up dudes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nice as fuck.
Frank Hannon from Tesla. We've had on Steve Blaze from Lillian Axe. We've had on Joey Allen from Warrant. We've had on Ian Hogland from Europe. Mark Gus Scott from Trickster. Bill Leverty from Firehouse. Chris McCarville from Dokken.
Mark Torian.
Yeah, from the Bullet Boys.
Bullet Boys.
Chris Green from Taiketo.
That's right.
And man, that guy's an underrated force in the music
That
world.
guy's a guitar fucking powerhouse.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure there's a few others from that era that I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
But we've also had on guys like Gene Simmons from Kiss, Bruce Kulick, Megadeth, Seven Dust, Prong, Shinedown, Shooter Jennings, Saving Abel, Sons of Texas.
Clutch, Candlebox, Crowbar, The Obsessed, George Taylor's Insight. It just goes on and on.
That's right. So dig back through there, soundcloud.com/Thunder-Underground. You can find us pretty much anywhere that you can hear podcasts. You can also listen to us every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on 1027WSNR.com. And TheThunderUnderground.com is our website where pretty much everything is at. You can listen to the podcast. You can find our social media links, follow us and like us on all those as well. Thanks again to Mark Slaughter, Med Farm, and DEB Concerts. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.